Right, we should be streaming live, my man. Let's go. Right, we should be live now. If you can hear us, I don't know. Can you hear me now? I don't know. Yeah. I'm doing it as well as you are, my man. You're doing a sterling job. Don't you worry about that at all. Right, here we are. Let me see what we can. Oh, I can't do anything at this point here. This is fine. Oh, this is fun, isn't it, Trevor? When technology tries to take me on. Not enough. I know more about my British tracks, but educate me and the listeners. While we've got 1 minute and 18 seconds left. Oh wow. Mm. Right.
Other interesting things over the years for the more modern people, the 2016 was Verstappen's first win after he'd jumped straight into the Red Bull. Oh, the cars are starting away on their warm-up lap. And going back 2012, Maldonado passed or crashed Thor Maldonado, as he was better known, had his moment in the sun where he held off Alonso for his one and only Formula One win. And shortly afterwards, his money ran out, and so did his F1 drive.
Oh wow, I didn't realise it was
What other
based on that.
what? Maldonado and
Yeah.
money? Oh yeah, Venezuelan oil money or Venezuelan money of some form. But yeah, he then moved to, I believe, the Renault team, and that's where he took his money. And then when it didn't get renewed, he got replaced by another driver. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but that's what that's where his drive basically ran out, and that's one of the reasons Williams took him on, that he was able to bring good money to the team. So, oh yeah. So going back, and for those older readers among you out there, 1996, this was one of the first races after this sad event at Imola in Imola in '94. they put in a tyre chicane, and Schumacher actually won that race, stuck in 5th. Oh, sorry, he finished 2nd in the race, stuck in 5th. It had a problem with the early days of semi-automatic gearboxes, stuck in 5th, and managed to keep it going to the end. He was driving it basically like a go-kart, but a very fast go-kart.
Oh, yeah, very, very, very fast go-kart.
And that was the comedy year where, and I'll talk to people about it as we're going around the circuit later on, where they actually put in a tyre chicane at one point of the circuit to slow the cars down, and they literally had to go through one by one. It was like going through single alternate lane traffic lights at roadworks. It was quite incredulous.
Oh wow, I had no clue to that. I'm realising my audio's a lot higher than yours. So let me just turn myself down there so we're nice and balanced. Perfect. Wow, we are starting to really line up for things here. I'm getting audio good from everyone and feedback here. I am now back in the room properly with you, Trevor. So apologies for holding the fort down for the start of that race there.
That's all right.
Where are we getting to now? Back third.
I'm having to do my Control Alt Delete anyway at my end, as I usually have to do just before the race. So the other thing of this circuit is it holds a broad range of, I'm talking a lot about Formula One, and that's where I've got my encyclopedic knowledge, and I know some of our friends, particularly in America, love my old wafflings. But this track holds all sorts of races, sports cars, touring cars, DTM. There's even a rallycross version, would you believe?
Really?
Yep. Here we go. We're through the chicane.
Here we go.
We're getting,
like you say,
lined up, ready for a start.
Round New Holland.
Last corner.
If I remember correctly, New Holland corner.
What, the last one?
Yeah.
You are correct. Well done.
Learning, ever learning.
Google is your guide. Here we go.
Indeed.
Here we go. We're building up. The revs are going up. My heart rate's going up.
Green light, go, go, go.
And we're on way. Here we go. And both Stomper and Flash have made cracking starts. They're off weight. And Preset's tucked right under Ben Milden's rear wing. And he's looking to go down the inside of the other Bentley into the first corner. So looks like Ben is going to get a little bit pushed out here, is he? No, he's taking the wide line. But he's got the inside for turn 2. And looks like Preset lost out there. I don't know what you're saying there, Ben. Taxi, sorry.
I saw Preset tried to make the manoeuvre, but he did get squeezed out by Milner there. So a no for that, at least the first lap. But those two are good friends, as I know them quite well. So they'll be wanting to give each other some good ribbon throughout this race as they now come down through Seat and down around the hill. What a tricky corner that is, going down on the sort of concave. And so far, everything looking not too bad. We're keeping it all in the order that it started off with. Well, apart from Stomper taking first position over BRL Flash, who did really well, if I remember last time, in
Flash was 4th in qualifying and 4th in the race last time out.
Perfect stuff. Right, let's see how they're getting on. I want to try and look back down through the teams now, as this is not able to be done before. Perfect. Well, I hope one day they get this bit sorted out in ACC, so they have to flick out to a different menu to choose the cars. But for now...
Ben's gone wide. Ben's gone wide.
Pushed a little bit.
He's ran across the sleep policeman, but he's managed to get away with it.
Yeah,
so as he does seem to be breaking the gap a little bit from Preset and trying to hunt down Flash and Stomper.
Okay.
As it head down to turn 1, fastest part of the circuit. Pit lane's now open. So these guys have got to do 2 pit stops tonight. So we don't expect anything to happen really for probably a good 40 minutes.
Well, no.
But we'll go, Daxi.
Yeah, sorry, no, I was going to say, well, just looking down at the GT4 guys at the moment, I'm just seeing that KK is under a lot of pressure from the RA of Vaclav Vlasovil. I'm going to go for that.
Do you want to call him Pop? Pops.
I'm going to call him
Pops.
I'm going to call him Vaclav. That's good. Keep it that. Keep it that. So those two are battling away for the time being. I think there's another fight just further back between Peter Apostel and Thomas Spengar. Yes, it is.
You're right. Yeah. Now Peter's lost out there because he had pole. Let me just pull up my qualifying list. Here we go. We are, yeah, Peter Postle was on pole with Prince second, and Vaclav was third. Oh, hello, Thomas Benger's gone wide there across the grass, just coming out of turn 8.
Oh no.
And he's now right under pressure from Mados. So there was quite a gap there. He didn't spin, he got away with it, but it was he's lost an awful lot of time there.
Oh, right, okay.
So that's given Peter Postle a bit of breathing space there. So I think we might need to look at the volume, if you've got a volume click button there, by the way.
What, for myself or yourself?
We need, for ourselves, we need to possibly pop it up a little bit.
To possibly pop up a little bit. Okie dokies. Let's see what we can do here. We can do.
Okay, let's just have a look.
Nice.
Oh, Ben Milden's on flash. That didn't take him very long at all. Ben got away from preset and he's right up behind Flash for second place now. So that didn't take very long at all, did it?
Not at all.
It seemed to take him a lap or two to get settled into the tyres and the track conditions there, was my impression with Ben, because he got a bit bullied at the first corner, but he's now sorted that out. So he's right under the back of that Audi R8, and my betting will be it'll be a manoeuvre at the end of the straight.
Do you reckon so? Oh, now look at that. Stomper did go off on that corner, leaving him. I don't know how Flash did manage to make a jugular manoeuvre, but now that makes the top three a very, very, very tight race. And
he's not. Ben's not waiting. Ben's not waiting. He's going the inside of turn 10. He's got Flash on the brakes, and he's dragging preset up with him, because these guys, I think, are all slowing each other down.
I think you're spot on with that.
As it coming back up round to turn 13, Ben has already got one. Is he going to get the other now? Ben's race pace always does seem very good, doesn't it? Because in the first round, he was just ahead of Mick Allen and Preset. There wasn't a lot in it, but in the race, he just ran away. He ended up 43 seconds ahead of Preset, who finished second. So we know Ben's race pace is particularly good, but these four at the front have definitely made a breakaway, haven't they?
Oh yeah, this is it. The pack is being split, but now I'm on board with Ben, just trying to see if he can't really get close enough to do anything to that Ferrari, but he's definitely closed that gap down and through turn 1 up towards turn 3 and 4, and he's really giving Stomper some taste of his own medicine there. Flash has actually ducked off nearly a second already, which is surprising, because he was really into the mix, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, if you look at qualifying, him and Stomper, there was three 100s between them. So there was absolutely nothing in it, and Ben himself was about a quarter of a second behind those two. So you would have put your money on those two running away, and Ben sort of clinging on to third, but it's certainly not playing out that way in the race. So maybe it's something where those two guys are particularly good at the one-lap pace, but when we get the long runs in the race, and this is obviously a 2-hour race, so it's going to be, you need to keep your focus for a long while. That's where Ben, particularly, Ben Milden, does score very well against these other guys.
Consistency is key, as they say. Consistency is key. I'm just on board now with CV Dave. Does he look to quite possibly make a manoeuvre on my Hale? But that has just backed off a little bit now, but he was right up behind him. I don't know if he can get closer behind him as they come out and around the Euro car corner and down through the chicane towards New Holland. Not close enough there unless they get a good run down into the...
That car of CV Dave's, he does seem to look like he's short of sponsorship there, doesn't it? It's that kind of privateer look very much, isn't it? It's got racing stickers,
this is where
a couple of championship stickers, and that's it.
This is where I can educate you, my man. This is when I can educate you see, sir.
I'm all ears.
Because you can make custom liveries for our Assetto Corsa Competizione, and I don't know if he's done the same thing and managed to see how he can import it. No, you can do it on PC. I don't know if you could do it on console. So I'm going to assume he's either got one of two things. Either A, you're spot on, and it's a very matte black, bland colour, or he's actually got a custom livery, but because it's a specified file you put onto your console, You then have to let the server know what that file is, so they can then have it for your car, etc., etc. So he may see something different, or it could be completely wrong, and it's just a black car. Either one.
Well, it has got numbers and oh, Vaclav on Prince, trying to go around the outside of turn 3, couldn't make it work. Looks like he's going to possibly have. Oh, Prince has gone deep. It looks like Vaclav might have the inside as they head up to turn 4. It looks like he has.
He has, hasn't he?
Look, has he got it done? Yeah.
I think he has done.
Can Prince come back into the hairpin at turn 5? No, he's got it. He's got it done. He's got it done. Oh no, he hasn't. Vaclav's gone deep, and Prince has come back. Oh, and Peter Postle's there. He's going to play the opportunist card. Oh, look at these three. They're line astern. And this corner is really tricky because you're going too deep. You run across that speed bump on the exit, and it just takes all your speed away, doesn't it?
Really unselfish car. Yeah.
Round Campster, which is turn 9. Now, can they even do anything on the brakes as they head down? I don't know. Yeah, maybe we can. Vaclav's trying to look down the inside. No, Prince cuts across, and they settle back to where they were before. But this battle looks like it's going to be really tight. Interestingly, up front, Ben Milden seems to have got within half a second of Stomper, but doesn't seem to have got any closer at the moment. Maybe he's just sitting there waiting and seeing how the pit stops are going to work out.
Possibly so. Still very much early into the race, only 10 minutes into it so far. We've still got another hour and 50 to go, so a bit of more of attrition at this point. See how they get on.
Well, we only had 2 retirements in the first race. Thomas Manga, who's currently running in GT4s, he dropped out, and the other retirement we had was BJ Skid, but he's not with us tonight. So, considering the number of runners we start with and the length of the race, I think the number of dropouts, particularly at the Nürburgring, was quite low. So these guys do seem very committed. So hopefully, even if they have a problem, they can always go to the pits for repairs, and they'll hang in there, because you never know what points you're going to pick up, do you?
Well, no, this is it. At the moment, so I'm just having a quick look to see who else is going worth my attention at the moment, because it's just flicking between. It seems to be Stomper, Milden, and Flash and Preset, and then top first 2 with the GT4s, which are really tight behind each other. I can't take my eye off them at the moment, because they really are so close together. Vaclav and KK, absolutely so close, real.
Peter, now those 2 have settled down and are not exchanging punches. Peter does seem to have dropped a little bit off the back of that pair, doesn't he? Because he seemed to be, it was a little bit opportunistic when they were slowing each other down with those manoeuvres. Oh, Vaclav's looking like he's going down the outside for turn 10. Can he make it stick, trying to go around the outside? It's getting close. No, I think that was always going to be an opportunistic manoeuvre. But again, they're slowing themselves down and bringing themselves back into Peter's hands in that Mercedes behind. Oh, maybe not. Oh, KA Prince has gone deep. Oh, Vaclav got it all sideways there. Peter's there to pick up. He's going around the outside. Oh, has he got it done? He's got the inside for that chicane.
I think he has, you know. I think he's got it down.
Yeah.
Yep, that is the Audi. Unfortunately, dropped down of Vaclav, has dropped down into 12th position or 3rd position for the GT4s at the moment, giving Peter Postle a lovely 2nd place there. Like you say, all he had to do, take his time, bide his time, and the position came through to him. It was literally just an unfortunate bit too much of a heavy foot coming out of the corner, back end just lit up a little bit, started to go out from underneath, and that gave him that split second time to jump in front and take that 2nd position spot for the GT4s. I don't know. How are we looking on our GT3 side, Trevor? Are they looking any tight between Milden or Preston?
Well, Milden still sat that cheerful sort of half a second behind Stomper, but the gap that has stretched is Flash has stretched a 2nd lead on Preset now. So whereas that was half a second about 2 laps ago, so he's definitely stretched that now. He's now stretched to 1.8 seconds. So he's gone through the next timing line. So I guess Preset has made an error somewhere, because he was running quite close and was quite competitive, but behind Flash. But now, in literally I think 3 laps, he's lost a 1.5 seconds. So I don't know if he's made a mistake, he's got a problem, or he's working around something. He's going around turn 3, going very deep, running off track on the exit. So I can't believe, can you, after a quarter of an hour, are they hitting tyre wear issues already? I can't believe it. These tyres are usually good for an hour, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they are, but this is all dependent on, obviously, scrub, heavy braking, flat spots. These things can come just within one instance of heavy braking, so you never know. Hopefully not. Preset is a man like Milden who loves his Bentleys, so hopefully he can come back into the mix. But Stomper, really good to see this new guy come through. I believe he wasn't here last week, wasn't he? He was new to the mix this week.
No, he wasn't. No, this is his first round.
And what an impression
and I
he's
think
making.
Just dropping down to the GT4s, I think Vaclav is about to make a move on Peter Postle down into turn 1. He's tucked right up in his Audi, he's tucked right up behind the Mercedes, heading down towards turn 1. Peter's going defensive, he's putting his Merc in the middle of the track. No, he's gone up to take the racing line. Vaclav's looking at the inside, no, can't make it stick. And of course, in the middle of all this, KK is making his escape. Because these two, Peter, we don't think is quite as quick on race pace as Vaclav and KK, and it looks like Peter is holding up Vaclav at the moment, and that's allowing KK to stretch a bit of a gap there. So Vaclav is going to be really keen to get behind Peter sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm currently watching a rear wing shot from that Merc and seeing Peter just all over the back of him in that R8. And if he doesn't watch out, he's going to suffer the same fate that Peter had on himself, because I can see the other Mercedes of Mados, our guy, one of our hosts here, salute you sir, who's closing down on this pack as well. So if you want to watch that, it's going to make things difficult. He's only 2.2 seconds away from Peter Postle, and it is slowly dropping.
There's going to be an Audi and a Mercedes sandwich come a couple of laps.
Oh yeah, this is it. I'm going to go back in and see what's going on with Milden, because these guys are so close, Milden and Stomper.
I'll stick back with the GT4s and let you know when it gets more exciting again.
Go for it.
I think we're coming up to complete the lap, and I think that's where Vaclav's going to make his move into turn 1 if he does.
I see. Right.
What's happening up front, Daxi?
At the moment, it is really tight, not even half a second in it, and these guys are battling. It is Ferrari versus Bentley, and you know what? They are two completely different types and feels of car, but they are racing so close and tight together here right now as they come round the New Holland corner onto the stop, onto the back straight there. A bit of a gap between the two of them now. It has actually moved up 2.5 of a second, which seems not like much, but it's actually been quite a big gap for these two so far in this race. Ben trying to give a little fakey out to the side, doesn't really spook the Ferrari drivers. They go down into the first corner here, and they are starting to get held up by their first back markers. This is going to be the Volt in the Chevrolet. Oh no, Ben Milden and accidentally has caught the Ferrari there, but the Ferrari has actually tried to avoid going into the back of that GT4, and then by that quick manoeuvre, Ben's couldn't help but brake and then just punted him. Has done the gentlemanly thing though, he's let him rejoin the track, but with that, that's let Flash and Preset get past them, so they are now up into first and second, and Stomper and Milden down to third and fourth. How the tables turn, eh?
Wow, this is going to make it grandstand stuff for later in the race, because we've got those two guys up front now who aren't quite as quick on race pace, and we've got Ben Milden, who we think is quick, but now there's another factor, of course. Has Ben Milden and Stomper got damage, and is that going to slow their pace down? And it also, when they come to pit and they repair it, is that going to slow that down as well?
Oh, it definitely will. It definitely will. At least it will have some form of effect, so I don't know how bad it will be. It did, you know, Ben obviously tried to slow down in the short amount of reaction that he could have done, but, you know, what can he do at that point there? It's just what happens. I think everyone just knows it's just racing. There was no hard feelings felt. For the time being, I'm not sure. I'm not seeing enough of this Ferrari push to its limits to see if it's really struggling. But, oh, getting caught by a back marker there again. I think that was Tom 7473 getting caught up on the Ferrari of Stompy. He's not having a good run of it at all. Let's see how he fares for the rest of this race.
Well, maybe this is the first time these guys are being lapped, and is it catching them out a little bit? That suddenly they've been minding their own business in their own race, maybe not close to anyone else, and then suddenly, out of the blue, this GT3 car comes howling down and wants to be on the racetrack in the same spot they do.
Well, yeah, this is, well, this is why I like this. I really do like this event. You have got the multi-class.
Oh, Baclav's on the grass. Sorry to cut a GT4. Baclav has been following Peter Postle. He seems to get a little bit closer down the straight, and then through those first few turns, he was keeping really close. But they came up to turn 4, and he just went deep, ran across the grass, and he's lost, I would say, a good 2 or 3 seconds there at least. So Peter Postle playing the long game here, just taking it steady. He seems to be doing really well, and he's picking up positions, and currently sitting there second in the GT4 class.
Oh, nice, nice. At the moment, it is neck and neck still with Milden and Stomper. Milden nearly making a manoeuvre, trying to get back up into third position, but Stomper just holding off against him. Furious fight between these two here, really late breaking down into these corners. Another little kiss there from Ben as he tried to break there, and Stomper did take the tighter inside line, but with that you've got to make sure you leave space on the outside. You can't stretch out wide. You've got to make space for each other, and they are at the moment struggling to get away from each other due to back markers. Yeah, back marker, back marker, back marker, back marker.
We didn't seem to have this problem with back markers at Nürburgring, do we? Maybe there's something in the nature of the circuit. It brings a different factor in here.
I think
because these guys are all race very fairly with each other, don't they?
Yeah, no, you're right. They normally do. I generally think it's just the track layout. Nürburgring, you sort of seem to have sections of technical cornering and then a little bit of a straight between the two. You've obviously got the first hairpin corner followed by that first little Mercedes technical sector. Then you stretch it out till you then get down to that hairpin on the actual track. Then you've got another big sort of stretch up to the S's and then up to the final chicane. So it is pretty stretched out there, whereas this is a lot more tighter, a lot more turnier track compared to the Nürburgring. So I think maybe probably the average speed around this track is, I'm going to say it's probably slower. Don't quote me on that. I'll tell you what, give us a shout in the message. Let us know if I'm right or wrong. Is the average speed around Nürburgring quicker than it is around Catalunya? I'm going to put a small wager on the Nürburgring is a bit faster, and due to that factor, the acceleration benefits of the GT3s are just catching those GT4s up a lot faster.
Peter Postle, who was doing quite well at catching KK, just made a bit of a mistake there, coming out of Campsa. He was being lapped, but unfortunately was slightly too generous and ended up on the gravel himself as he let Ben Milden pass.
Oh, right.
But in the next breath, KK has lost time letting Ben Milden pass, and Peter Postle's catching him now.
It does
so it's still very tight in this battle for the GT4. If you're interested, just look down in the bottom right-hand corner there, Daxi. You've got this big track, and everybody is in like 1/6 of it.
Yeah. And
quite incredible.
It is quite incredible, and the thing which amazes you more is that we're now 20 minutes through this, and the reason why they've re-packed up is because the GT3 cars are catching back up to the GT4s. So we've already had a sort of group lap from the GT3 cars already 20 minutes in to this race. So, and we're going to expect that several more times, then including the 2 mandatory pit stops that these guys have got to have, is going to really shake things up.
Talking of pit stops, is this maybe a point where, with these guys, either the GT3s or the GT4s, think, is this an opportunity to get myself out of all this traffic and stop losing time either overtaking or being overtaken, get myself out in clear air, and will that outrun the benefit of maybe not being on the perfect 3 split for, with 2 stops, you'd obviously go for 40 minutes in.
Oh no, sorry. I've just been watching ERC Mados, who accidentally just got kissed by the overtaking GT4 car of CV Dave's Porsche. And that's just punted him off the track there. They've managed to recover and catch back up, but it's a shame for Mados, because Mados was actually having a good battle there with Thomas Menger in the GT4 BMW, who was just in front of him. So he's got to make up all that time and come back from there. But good luck to you, Mados. We know you can do it. Keep in there, get that back up and running. But you're spot on. I think you're spot on with what you were thinking with the pit stops there, Trevor. I think now you've seen the sort of GT3s go through the pack now, I reckon they know roughly that they've got another 20 minutes until they start possibly hitting traffic in, maybe a bit less, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. So they've got all that time. I reckon if they want to do it a bit logically, coming up to that point, I'd say see if you can dive in there and get your pit done before you get caught up in that traffic, and hope you don't come back out in that traffic again.
I think yeah, well, because obviously I came up with the idea, so of course I think it's right. But it's trying to sense, and this is where you need a spotter to point out where you're going to drop back out in the circuit. And I don't know how many of these guys have got somebody talking to them in their ears, but you need to try and work out where it's like the same as they do in any pit stop series, whether it's Formula One or whether it's endurance racing or Le Mans or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's where am I going to drop out? Am I going to get held up? And interesting tonight, particularly with a lot of these tight corners, it does seem to be causing them a lot of bunching, a lot of problems with overlapping. So they need to try and minimise that to try and get their lap times up, but not compromise it too much by not being on the ideal strategy, because you're trying to break the race into effectively 3 sprints.
Yeah. Sorry, I've just got our guy in the chat, Balasek. he's just commenting on CV Dave. What's that? When that little kiss happened there, so
dear.
some of the guys in the chat also wondering what on earth is happening. I'm going to jump on board. Before I look to see who's best, did anyone recommend to get on board and watch? For the moment in time, it seems Milden's getting a bit of action, and then also his preset. Which one should I go for?
Oh, go for preset, because preset and flash were very close in the qualifying. But again, the VRL shows that they've obviously got some commonality between those drivers.
Yeah.
And does that mean they're going to be a bit respectful and think, no, we'll fight this at a later date, because they've got an hour and 34 still to go?
Yeah, Virtual Racing League are, they're well known. They wear their badge colours of pride.
Will they just settle down and think it's not worth having too much of a battle at the moment, and we'll let it come back to us later on? Because the other thing is, sort of battles, when we talk to pit stops, 15 minutes time, we should see some of these guys diving in. It'll be interesting to see whether anybody's got a different strategy up their sleeve for. They've got 2 compulsory pit stops. I'm not sure if they have to do they have to change the tyres twice, because if it's just fuel, they could go in and refuel and carry on with the same tyres, and that would obviously cut the pit stop time down.
I think it's 2 compulsory pit stops, but what you do on those pit stops is entirely your call. So you can either change, you can go in, do the stop, do your 30 and get straight back out on the same tyres, same fuel you had. You can take that time to maybe top up a little bit of fuel within that 30, or swap the tyres as well. See where we go. Hopefully the damage that you saw being taken by the likes of Milden and Stomper won't be, I don't think it's going to be over 30 seconds worth, so hopefully they're all going to be sorted in that window. It should not affect their pit. But hey, I say this, you never know what's going to happen with that, and like you say, lots of back markers adding more traffic. You never know what the variable is going to be.
You don't. It's interesting that we had Peter Postle's gone miles wide at turn 10. He's onto the MotoGP track.
Oh, is he really?
And he's got himself back. He didn't really do any damage. He just went. He just seemed. It was like he had no brakes. And Vaclav's got back that position that he was been after for quite a few laps. Whereas Peter had seemed to have settled down there as second in GT4 class behind KK. And I was just on board with him, and he just kept going. It was bizarre. Oh. But luckily, it's tarmac runoff there, and then there's what was the MotoGP track further out, and he just ran onto there and carried on. But the Vaclav went, thank you very much, and picked up second place in GT4 and disappeared off.
Oh, well, Well, hopefully he
That
can
was
pull that.
quite,
Hopefully he can pull
quite
that back.
quite a bizarre thing. It wasn't like one of those. Oh, I'm a bit late and run a bit wide. It was like I'm taking a different circuit.
Oh yeah, this is they officially called to the Shadow Realm. I'm currently now watching Michael take on Hubris E36, Bentley versus BMW, and these two are actually really catching here. So looking for a manoeuvre at any point is Michael, but not being able to be done as of yet. Pushed too hard by the BMW though, so he may have lost that position. He has done.
Oh,
He actually, the Bentley didn't do anything at all. He went for the inside line through the hairpin, and the BMW took the wider line, but then got spooked by him doing the inside line, late braked and pushed out of that corner, and then just gave the actual corner to the Michael. Anyway, so Michael up into 4th position, and the BMW driver back down into 5th. And already Michael managed to make a good half a second gap between those two, and for the time being seems to be increasing. Well, I'll say that they're now heavy braking down into the first corner, so see how they go. But again, Bentleys on the GT3 field, we got 4 of them, and of those 4, 3 of them are in the top 5. So maybe it's saying something. The people seem to really like these Bentley Continentals.
and people take the mickey out of them to calling them Boatleys because they're so big and relatively heavy and all that kind of thing. But they do so well, so why would you go in something else? And I've always taken, I've driven the Lexus in the past, and I've recently driven the Mercedes. I just didn't want to go down the Bentley route because I thought there's got to be another way. But eventually, you got to realise that everybody else must know something.
Well, I tell you what, my friend has moved over to Assetto Corsa, and he is swearing by the Bentley. He really, really does like it. I have to admit, I don't mind it, but in this game, I am a MR guy. I like a mid-rear engine car. I'm not a front-rear car driver myself. I do like to have the engine planted behind my backside. Get all that grunt going.
Yeah, we've discussed this one before, and
Yeah.
and I'm still with Enzo Ferrari, who, when these cars were being beaten by the what they call it,
you put it in the front.
Yeah, the horse must pull the cart.
This is what he
said. And these garagistas like Cooper were coming across with these little toy cars, as he considered them, with the engine in the back, and then clearing off and winning the world championship. So, and I think he was roughly the same with turbo cars as well. It was like when the Renault turned up with the first turbo car, everyone sort of laughed at it. I think that was British Grand Prix 1977. And because it blew up so often and was putting smoke out everywhere and steam, they called it the teapot.
Oh, really?
But when it sort of 2 or 3 years in, they suddenly started winning races. Not very much everybody else jumped on board. But again, I think Ferrari were fairly slow with that one. And we're trying to insist, 12 cylinders, and your traditional Ferrari engine was the way to go. But eventually, he did have to submit when he kept getting beaten to come up with a different option.
Of course, Ferrari do. Of course, they do. Well, I currently am catching back up with a ERC Mados. That's E-Racing Mados, and he has done a really good day. He's managed to do what he wanted to do, and that's him catch back up to Thomas Mengar, the guy that he was behind before he accidentally got bumped by CJ CV Dave. So Mados wanting to be on the attack now. He's getting closer. Sorry, I thought he was going to make a manoeuvre at this point, but he's ever catching him. That gap is now down to 0.2 of a second.
And talking of gaps and close, Flash, Preset and Milden are line astern going through New Holland onto the main straight. It is really tight up the front here.
Oh, blimey. Not enough spots to catch up with everything. Right, let's go on there. Let's get on board.
We need cameras everywhere.
Preset. And so he's managed to squeeze himself between. How has he squeezed himself between? Oh no, he hasn't. Sorry, I completely forgot what happened earlier. And it's actually Milden which has done a sterling job to catch back up with these front two. Unfortunately, what has happened?
So we've lost someone.
We have. I think we've lost Stomper.
Yeah, Stomper's disconnected by the look of it.
I don't know what's happened there.
Stomper was the third in this pack, and he's gone, and then Milden is... Oh, is Preset going for the inside there? He's not going to make that stick, surely. He's got to go all the way around the outside. Flash isn't going to let him do that, surely.
I wouldn't have thought so.
But he's slowing them down, and yeah, it's slowed those two down, and Ben Milden's catching them up again, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, we've got the onboard footage, and he's all over the back of Flash. Heavy braking up around the top of this hill, then fly back down, try and get as much momentum as possible.
Oh, Flash going defensive into turn 10. This corner's just been modified for... Oh, hang on. Are they going up the inside? No. There's two corners there for turn 10. One is for the MotoGP, and one was for the F1. And the car won't generally use the F1 circuit. And this year, they've decided to give up having two versions, and they've just split the difference and put a new corner in between them. So going forward for the 2021 circuits, it will be a slightly different layout there. I think it makes about 30 metres difference.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Another really boring Trevor fact there.
Yeah, never get bored of the Trevor facts, Trevor. Keep them up, keep them coming. No, it's I want to see what these guys can do, as Preset is still trying to put the pressure on Flash, but is still very much aware of Milden right up behind him there, with the Audi and two Bentleys fighting for first, second and third of the race, and obviously for the GT3 class as well. Keeps on going. I'm going to leave them be for a second and get back on board with some of the other guys racing around this track.
I'll stick up the front and keep an eye on these guys, but I was just thinking there, is this the time one of these guys at the front wants to think about a pit stop? Because we're really into pit stop windows here, so unless they're doing something that's off schedule, i.e. 3 40-minute sprints with 2 pit stops,
yeah,
they're coming in, they're 35 minutes in, surely you start thinking, okay, let's go on a pit stop, get filled up, get a fresh set of tyres, and get back out there, and maybe I can jump one of these guys through the pit stops.
Well, you're spot on, and you know, I was telling you about the theory of catching back up those back markers soon. Look who's in front of these guys now. It is the next set of GT4 cars, and they're going to get, you know, this is the first set of the time they've got to get back through. So literally over the next few laps, they're going to have to start making their way through those GT4 cars again. So like you say, is it now worth them starting to jump into the pits, get some fresh tyres again? It does look like Flash is struggling. I don't know if that's just because he's trying to defend and not getting the ideal lines for that, or if maybe his tyres are starting to drop off a bit from heavy defending. Not 100% sure. But look at Preset getting right up behind that rear view, getting that right behind the rear view bumper of Flash. Trying to spook on the inside, can't do it.
Oh,
what's happened there?
Flash is off. Flash has gone across the speed dump.
Oh no!
Outbraked himself into the first right-hander. Lost 2 spots. So the Bentleys went through as a pair, and as Flash was scattering it up, going across the speed bumps inside turn 2, they were through and gone. He just couldn't get it to rotate all the way round to get round the corner.
Oh no!
Someone's gone.
That's
deep in the background again.
That's Tom 7473 in that GT4. In that GT4 car that they were trying to get round when that overtaking was going on. What's happened there? There we go.
I think these guys have got to jump to look at that traffic up front.
I know.
I think they made a mistake. They should have gone to the pits the previous lap. I think they've gone the wrong way. They should have been looking what else was about, and the times come up on their screen so they can see that. But look at this, it's one car after another, and they're compromising their racing line, they're losing time, whereas they could have jumped out and got out into clear air. I think there was a mistake there.
Yeah.
So how many cars were they overtaking this lap? About 4 or 5?
Well, yeah, like I said, they're going to have to go through the whole GT4 pack now, and this is not going to be helpful when they're trying to race as tight as they can do. These guys are on blue flags, but at the same time, you try and go around those chicanes in that tight space, and you know they're not being bad drivers here. They're trying to give the space away when it's safe for them to do so. So, you know, midway through a corner is not a safe space to do it, and that's held them up. Now they've got through one set of back markers, and I know that you can see it on your screen, and the viewers can see it as well. Those blue cars in front of them that you've got coming, Peter Postel, KK, and our guy who's first in the GT4s. Why have I just forgotten his name?
Backlab.
There we go, Vaclav. So, you know, it's only going to get worse. How far? Well, 17 seconds away. That's going to be...
But they have got a bit of breathing space there now, haven't they, for a couple of laps? But
I'd say
it's
maybe
now
about
where they're going to drop out once they pit.
Lap or two, maybe 3. It's not going to take them long to catch back. I know they say 16 seconds, but it's a GT4 car versus GT3 car. That time's going to drop dramatically, and as we can see, that's dropping from what was 16 seconds already down to 14 seconds, 15, 14 seconds, and it's not even been one lap.
And interestingly, Flash does seem to be creeping back up after that little mistake. He's creeping up back behind the two Bentleys. So he did seem to be struggling, but now maybe Preset and Milden are compromising their line slightly as one's trying to overtake the other, and Flash is rolling his way back up to the back of these two guys. But we're just about to hit 1 hour 20 to go, so I'll be very surprised if somebody doesn't make a move for the pits in a minute.
Yeah,
I want to get me pen out and mark me paper so I've got all my pit stops. I'm getting desperate here, guys.
Something's going to have to happen at some point, and I think we have. I think we've just seen Flash dive into his first pit.
Yep.
Yes, he has. He's dived in for his first pit, and we have actually had a couple of others going for their pits, and we've just not noticed it. MyHale and also Hubris have got in for theirs as well. So there's now actually been 3 people who've gone in for pits already this race, and we've just missed it accidentally. Let's see how the Clav is getting on. He's managed to hold off.
Oh, it looks like some of the GT4s are in the pits as well. Mados and Tom 74 have gone.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Now, I've missed this while we've been chatting about the GT3s, but KK has actually lost his first position in the GT4s and back down to Vaclav, who's well, he's been, let's be fair, he's been pressuring him from the word go in this race, hasn't he?
He has. And it's obviously paid dividends because he's now got the position. So it'll be interesting to see whether what these front guys in GT4 are going to do, because they're obviously quite close. There's only a second or so between each first, second and third.
Yeah.
And that we're very much into that pit stop window. The slower guys in GT4 have gone for the pits this lap. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for the next lap, because they might be going for some kind of undercut idea. 40 minutes in, those tyres are 2/3 of the way through their best.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't want to go more than an hour or so. And just can we see where we're at on race time? Just having a quick look around the
yeah,
screen.
we've got 1 hour. We're 1 hour and 18 minutes into this race so far. So 1 hour and 18 minutes left of this race so far. Not 1 hour and 18 minutes.
Just gone for the pits.
Yep, we've got Preset in. We've also got KK and Peter Postel in as well. So that's going to make things nice and interesting, leaving Vaclav out in front for the GT4s for now, and he's starting to make a good lead there. He was already making a good bit of distance between him and second position KK in the GT4 cars, so it's going to possibly help him. Don't know if he's just going to try and stick out a long stint as possible and then see what he can do as he makes way for Milden to come through on the blue flag. Very well done there. Get some really lovely camera angles around this track.
I'm just looking at Preset in the pit, so he must be about to drop off the jacks. And interestingly, who else we got? Thomas Menger's just come into the pits, and Brood has come into the pits as well. So they're coming in with 1:17 to go. Brouhaha.
I don't know what it's called.
I've never been able to. I just call him Brood. I raced against that guy in another series. So Preset's away and Peter Postel's away.
Nice.
So Preset is down. So how's Preset going to come out compared to Flash? I can't see Flash anywhere at the moment.
Neither can I.
KK's out of the pits.
Oh, Flash is miles away. He's already past start-finish, it seems. So he's dropped down into 5th somehow, and Preset's up in 2nd. No, there we go. It has readjusted. Sorry, it's the legendary
it's going to need
late changing splits on Assetto Corsa, which does that for us.
ACT lag.
Yeah.
Oh, and Ben Milden's into the pits.
Oh, perfect. So I'm going to stick on board with Flash, see how he gets on round this track, and if Milden is out before.
Well, Ben's just rolling down the pit lane to his pit box at the moment, bang on the 50 kilometres an hour limit. I came up and stuck with that one night because I assumed I could fly at the pit lane limit board because I had it on automatic as fast as I could, and it would just sort itself out. Apparently it doesn't work like that. I discovered with a 30-second stop and go shortly afterwards.
Yep, you've got to be very, very tight with these things. Now, I don't know how he's lurking in that pit box, but Flash is about to come through that last chicane around New Holland. How is Ben looking?
We're still down there. We know it's going to be at least 30 seconds, and then will be a little bit possibly added on if he decides to have. Oh, he's away.
He's away. Oh, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight.
He's getting up to speed.
Oh, look at this, and it's all going to be down to the first corner. It's definitely Flash with more momentum, but Ben with the inside line and the car in the first place. He has managed to defend that off, and very lucky there for Ben Milden. A very good tactical play, kept himself in first place, and Flash cursing his luck there, but really well done. Look how close behind him he is now. 1.3 seconds. That's nothing in this race. That can be brought down and annihilated within 15-20 minutes, and we've got an hour and 15 minutes left.
And the real loser in all of that was Preset, wasn't he? Because they came in, they were really running all close together within a second of each other. And they've come out, we've cycled through the first pit stop, and he's 5 seconds adrift of Flash in second place. So that really hasn't worked out for him. Yeah. Whether he had repairs that we weren't aware of that he needed to have done, I don't know, but that really has not worked out for him. And talking of not working out, unfortunately, Thomas Menga has had a penalty for exceeding track limit. So that's a drive-through, so that's going to cost him probably a good 20 seconds.
Poor Thomas. Bad luck, my man. Bad luck. I want to get on board with our guys and see how we're getting on. Not had much view of Volt so far tonight, so I'm going to see how he's getting on.
Is he the guy in the Chevrolet?
He is definitely the guy in the nice Brink. Is it? I'm going to say luminous green and white striped Chevrolet.
It's an unusual choice in car and I would say colour scheme.
Yeah,
definitely. Each their own if it works for him. He has pitted and he's currently running there 4th in the GT4 class. So in the first round he qualified 6th and finished 4th. And of course, looking at the first round results, the guy that we're missing is Vinoid, who was the runaway winner in that first time round, if you remember.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not managed to make it back for this second race. I thought he'd want to secure some more points and get his title started, or championship started off with a good run there. But unfortunately, I'm guessing it can't come to, for whatever reason, he can't make it. It's a shame. We hope to see him again soon. But for now, he's letting everyone else catch back up with him, and people like Volt and Peter Postel and KK and Van Clad is going to, Van Clav, they're just going to take that and say thank you very much.
Well, why wouldn't you? And
that's a fair point.
Yeah, they can bank the points. So the one's probably KK is the one that's going to come out best of this because he's currently running second, and he finished second in the first race.
Yeah.
So because Vaclav wasn't there, so he's only going to get points for one race. So KK is going to be the big winner in this one because Peter Postel in third. He had that real nightmare at Nürburgring, and he finished 7th out of the guys there. So he's going to think, well, yeah, he's banked a couple of good sets of points, but like I say, definitely KK is going to be the big winner in all that. And talking of track position, which I'm about to, is interesting.
Got on board with that Chevrolet, and I have to admit, it sounds a bit mean.
Oh, you got the rumble of the V8, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I'll leave that there so we can actually hear us talking, and leave that Chevrolet as well. So we get back on board with KK. Seems to be battling it back with the Clav.
But you're just going back to the track position discussion I was having on myself there. It does seem like that where Milden has dropped out and he's just currently going around turn 3, he's got the GT4 guys seem to have broken up a little bit through the pit stop per cycle, which is going to help these guys as they approach them to lap them, because they were definitely very much bunched up in that first run of laps, whereas now it's changed and they're split out all around the circuit. So that's we're going to take away some of that problems these guys were having lapping people.
Oh right. Oh, that's going to be definitely a lot more handy then if that's the case. It's
well, when they were catching those bunch of cars, that was quite tricky because they were obviously racing each other, and then the guys behind are coming up trying to overtake them as well, and nobody in that little pack wants to give away anything to the people they're racing. Is it, Meals? It's starting to get dark.
No, it is starting to get dark. Remember, this race, even though it's 2 hours long, goes over a 12-hour period in race form. So it will start from light and we will end in darkness here. And again, those two mandatory pit stops may come in handy when you actually want to play proper tactics here, and you possibly need to adjust for PSI changes in track temperature as we go from the day into night, and the track temperature drops and goes that way. So can all come in handy there. You want to maybe say, right, my first set I change are going to be this PSI, the second one are going to be a bit lower or a bit higher or a bit higher, and so you still get that maximum grip on those cars.
Especially because it's interesting in the first race, the way the 12 hours was done, it was only probably the last 15-20 minutes of actual normal real world race time that was in the dark, where it looks like we're going to head into the dark a lot earlier here, probably around about the hour mark by the look of it. So they're going to have about an hour in the darkness here. So obviously when you get into that dark, it's so much more difficult to pick out those brake markers and those turning points, and that's when the mistakes can and do happen.
Yeah, definitely, indeed. And looking at here, KK is doing a sterling effort to catch back up with a Clav. He's getting as far left of that track as he can do, coming into the first and second turns here to catch back up with that R8. And the BMW really working hard, not managing to catch back up. But from the looks of it, and from what I know, that BMW has got the top line speed. But I think that Audi R8 has probably got just that bit more nimble, a bit more forgiving, and probably a bit more pace through the corners than possibly that BMW can do.
And what I expect he'll be thinking about is he needs to get through that final Mickey Mouse chicane, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
And get right on up on the back of that Clav, because if that's where the BMW's struggling, he needs to get through there quicker so he can use its speed down the straight. But he does seem around this back part of the circuit with these tight bends, he does seem to be hanging on to the back of that Audi, so maybe he's got in the groove there, and if he can just get close enough at the end of that lap, he should be able to do something into that turn 1. It's just so marginal between all these cars, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's now he tried maybe. I think he. I don't know if KK just got caught or the Clav got caught a little short there, because he nearly he had to brake there for a second. Oh, really close there. Watching out that CV Dave.
Exactly what I was saying about KK. Didn't want to lose any time there, but nor did CV Dave, and he was trying to bulldoze the way through, and unfortunately probably KK's lost about a second or so there, whereas CV Dave is getting by Vaclav down the main straight, so neither of them lose any time, and KK's got to do it all over again. Yeah, he's nearly 2 seconds behind now. He was down to about 0.4, 0.5.
He's not having a good go of it, old CV Dave.
He's going to have to do hard work all over again.
Yeah. He's not
having a lot of luck there.
No. It's maybe just keep an eye open. We're going to give a friendly suggestion. Just keep just a bit more spatial awareness out there, CV Dave. just so you don't accidentally catch those guys, just remember they may not see you even if you see them. I think that's probably what happened more on that corner, is that he then
Oh,
snuck up on the inside of the corner and he didn't get to see anything that happened. Right.
talking of back markers, just as do you remember about 10 minutes ago I said I was still settled down now, there won't be any problems with back markers?
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, we've had problems, and now Tom's 74, 73. I'm not quite sure whether it was unsighted, but him and Flash almost came together at the final chicane. And Tom's across the gravel and across the speed bumps now at turn 2. But they went in and tried to go into that chicane side by side, and there just isn't the space. So
yeah.
What happened was Tom unfortunately ended up bouncing straight across the gravel, and Flash was compromised on time as well. And obviously Flash is working really hard trying to catch up Ben Milden. So, and it's interesting in that lead battle, Preset, who was 5 seconds behind Flash after the pit stops, is now 7.7 behind. So whatever's happening in this section of the race, because the even track temperature is slightly dropping as we go into the evening and the sun goes down and the air temperature cools down and the track temperature cools down. And Tom got out of the way quite nicely there. They need to be working on different PSIs on their tyres, so whether the front two guys have got that working a bit better than what Preset has, I don't know. It depends how much testing they've done here before the race.
This is it. This is it. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm just trying to see who I want to get on board with. I'm going to get on board with a beautiful orange BMW of Hubris E36. I do love that colour. It is my favourite colour, orange. So do love it. I'm going to give this lovely airtime while we can. But yeah, what's going to happen with these tyres, and especially like you say with these PSIs? I don't think I've ever played on this track when it's not been a really hot temperature, and it's really surprising to see the track temperature and temperature outside the track is 90 degrees Celsius here.
Yeah, it's you know, Spain, you're not far from Barcelona, you do expect it to be those summery kind of temperatures and environment, don't you? So yeah. I can't think of many times where I haven't done an endurance race here, but I can't think of many times where we've actually had rain at this circuit for any of the major races that I've watched here. And talking of major races, if you want to watch something really exciting out there, obviously after we finish commentating on this, look back for Rossi versus Lorenzo back in, it must have been, I think, somewhere around about 2009. A last lap battle there, which was absolutely mega. I won't tell you the result, but it was absolutely outstanding, and it was teammate versus teammate, and no quarter was given. It's on YouTube, you can find it out there. It's absolutely brilliant. For anybody into the MotoGP side of the thing, it really is stunning. And it's not using the Mickey Mouse last chicane, it's using those two fast right-handers.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Oh, this is motorcycles. Motorcycles, Trevor. Motorcycles.
I know. Well, people out there. Well, we had the MotoGP was here today. And
was it really?
I won't spoil the result for. Yeah, I won't spoil the result for anyone. But one of the riders had a rather unusual failure. That he had a problem. They had like a chest protector inside the levers, and something happened with it, and he started digging into it. And he had, in the middle of the race, undo the levers and throw it out. But then realised he couldn't get his levers dipped back up, which is obviously a bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's good, definitely.
So, but did manage to get to the end of the race. So, here we got Hubris working through the lap traffic there, and then again. They seem to catch them at that chicane, don't they?
Yeah, it's definitely the slower corners where it does seem to happen. But bless him, I didn't know who that was. I think it was Tom 7473 that just went oh my days and just dived off into the gravel to try and get out of the way, which wasn't completely necessary. But it was good of him to just be very aware and just step out of the way and keep aware of those blue flags and impeding other drivers' momentum through the track.
It's like when the lap car catches them up, they just leap out of the way. It catches them by surprise, and there's that shock of, oops, they're just going to jump out of the way, because Tom, bless him, has been caught on that a couple of times. So, with cars, particularly catching them at that chicane, and it's very, very difficult to find a way of getting out of that to let people by. And do you know, if you're qualifying it, do you want to know a little trick
What's that?
that I've learned that you can get away with?
Go on then.
The on that where that chicane is, that last one that I don't like, which starts at turn 13, you can actually take the older part of the circuit, which bypasses that chicane.
Right.
Yeah, I'll show you. Are you still with Hubis at the moment?
No, I've moved on to what was it? Brugibola.
Right, that's a good call. Right, as he comes around this corner, when he comes up, he's going to hit the brakes down, turn right. The track actually does carry on. You might be able to see it.
Oh yeah, I see.
Left corner there.
Yeah.
And then it rejoins at this chicane here. Now, what you can do is a cheeky start. You can see it in the background there as he comes out of that chicane. As a cheeky start to a qualifying lap, you can come around that other bit of the circuit. You go a little bit slow to start with, so it doesn't give you like a shortcut penalty that you then have to carry.
Yeah.
But you can blast around that, and that gives you a much better exit onto that main straight.
Oh, I see. That will giving you a really good qualifying time.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Oh, I never even thought about that. You have jamminess brought to you here by Trevor.
Well, you see, the thing is, when you're as slow as I am, you need to come up with every trick in the book to try and win.
This is
or try and look good. And if you want, we haven't had an old F1 story, have we?
No, we haven't. We haven't. Just bear with me a second, because I am jumping on board with KK as he is getting closer and closer to Baclav. I don't know if it's worth.
That as I was about to start.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth us just holding fire to see how these guys get on, as this battle is ongoing this whole race so far. To and fro between these two, and so far it is Baclav who's got the first position from the GT4s compared to KK. Am I right in thinking there? Yes, I think he is.
Yeah, the GT4 does seem to be really good at close racing, because the leaders, I made a mistake here, actually, I was thinking something else. At the last race, there was only a second behind Vino and KK at the end of the race. So KK, permanent bridesmaid, it appears at the moment. But it was really close racing.
We've got
Peter Postle's goal.
No, I was just giving a brilliant shout out to our guys in the chat here. Balsec has just turned around and said, cheating to have a better qualifying time, question mark, what? Smiley face. Maybe he may have, may have tried these tactics before and feigning the knowledge. But there we go. Oh, nice to see. Well, also Canadian in Europe, how you doing, man? Shouting out Colin Myhal. He's cheering his mate on. See how they get on. Guys, if you want us to shout out or say anything, let us know in the chat. We can give you a shout out at the same time. For the moment, watching KK and Baclav, it's all slowed down a bit. There's now a gap between the two of 1 second.
Ben Meldon just came through and lapped them. And again, it's depending on where they got caught as to where it sort of stretched out. So now Flash is coming up to lap them as well.
Oh, right. So at the moment, it's that's a better spot for Ben to overtake compared to poor Flash. Flash is getting the bad route of all of this tonight, isn't he? He's had all the bad back marker points to overtake and try and get through. Milden's had a touch of the good lucks tonight. He's sailing through, and with that, Flash has got even more of a gap to try and close back between him and Milden.
Look at KK on back on.
Oh, I know. He's going for it. He's up the inside. He looks like he's going to make it stick. That BMW with that superior high speed has made that manoeuvre. He's stuck it there, so he's pushed himself back up into 8th, and what is first position for the GT4s. I'm right in thinking it's first position. Or is it Thomas Mengar? No, he's not. He's 14th, no, sorry. He's
Oh, no, it's gone back the other way. Oh no, Vaclav was taking a tighter line around turn 3, and KK looked like he'd gone wide, but that did seem to be the quicker line. But looking back, that manoeuvre started all the way back at the Mickey Mouse chicane.
Yeah.
Because what happened was that was where Flash was lapping them, and I think Vaclav got more compromised than KK did. And as we know, as you mentioned earlier, that BMW's great down the straight, and that just meant KK was able to roll right up onto the back bumper of Vaclav's Audi as they came onto the main straight and got closer than what he had done for several laps. So that was literally a factor of the lap car coming through there that caused that to happen.
And look at that, literally the exact same point nearly of the track. We've now got Preset overtaking these guys at just a corner before his other racer in GT3 Flash had taken those guys a lap before. So I was wondering if he'd caused much of an issue between those lot with traffic, but no, it doesn't seem to be at the moment. And we're back.
He managed to get by on that straight after Kamsa, so he got 2 for the price of 1 down that back straight.
Oh, for sure.
So he got that, but interesting to see that Ben Milden has pulled out quite a bit there on Flash now. They were quite close when they came out from the pits. Ben swooped out of the pits and just took the lead just in front of Flash, and now it's 6.6 seconds from Ben Milden in first to Flash in second, and then 9 seconds from Flash back to Preset. So that's settled out a little bit there at the front, and as the sun has set and the lights are shining brightly as they go into the darkness.
It's a sterling effort by old Milden there. Like you say, a 7-second gap with an hour go is never a bad thing. There is obviously still another mandatory pit stop which needs to be made, but for now, as long as he keeps up that gap and maybe increases it, he doesn't even need to worry about what type of pit stop he needs. Maybe he didn't touch anything fuel-wise. It was only tyres last time. Maybe he needs to put a bit more fuel in this time, and he's now bought himself 7 seconds of fuel time to be able to do it. Lord knows, but hopefully that will work in his favour, as it does seem to be ever increasing, that gap between him and Flash. I'm not sure if the gap between Flash and Preset is closing at the moment. It doesn't seem to be. It seems to be sticking at about a sort of just about nearly 8-second gap between those two. Am I right in thinking? Yeah, about an 8-second gap between those two.
We just looking for some of these guys to make a mistake, and it's amazing that the consistency of all these guys, all the way down to CV Dave in the GT3 class. There's been very little in the way of mistakes. I know there was a little bit of a trip up over the back markers early on, but that was like, how should you say, a third-party involvement.
Yeah.
But apart from that, these guys have been almost a bit Skeletrix, really, keeping it online and in the groove, and just not making mistakes. And over this period of time, we might see as we go into the dark, and they've been going for over an hour now, that the concentration might just go, and they'll be making mistakes. But at the moment, we've got 55 minutes to go, and we're probably expecting 15 minutes time. We'll be looking at the second round of pit stops, unless somebody's got something up their sleeve to try and play a different game on the pit stops to try and gain some time and maybe pull off an undercut.
Possibly so, we hope so. Let's get that up there as well. That's that there, and that there. I'm just checking the stream settings and everything's looking good here. It is all looking fine this side. Perfect. And for now, the real battle that we can keep, which is relatively close, does seem to be Vaclav and KK, but that has now been split up because Myhol was in between the two in his Bentley. So see if Vaclav can catch back up. KK has had to give a little bit away to do that, so Vaclav can actually catch back up to him now. So they come round and back down towards, I can never remember what this corner's called.
Worth.
That's the one. And then it's up to Camp.
In modern worlds of turns, it's turns 7 and 8.
Oh, okay. Is that how they call it now? I can't remember if it's Worth or
but
Casper or...
I really don't like that. It's just there's no spirit to it or anything like that, is it? When corners have got names, they're so much more memorable. And going back to my knowledge of F1, it was quite interesting. There was a wonderful clip of Lewis Hamilton at Monaco, and you know how they're on the radio saying, "Oh, you're losing time through this corner and that corner." Well, obviously Monaco's got quite a lot of corners for a fairly short track.
Yeah.
And his guy comes on the radio, "Yeah, Lewis, you're losing time through 16 and 17." And Lewis just said, "I've got no idea where that is. Just tell me what it is. They went, oh, it's the exit of the swimming pool. He said, yeah, let's stick with that, because when you got to count, you've almost got to count your way around the circuit,
Yeah.
haven't you? And think, hang on, that's 1, 2, 3. Whereas, and he just gives tracks, I think, so much more character if you give them a name rather than just turn numbers. Which just to me seems too clinical. But that's the end of me rant, though. I was getting a bit passionate about that.
You were getting a bit passionate. I was thinking, do not tell any Japanese track owners what you just said there, because they seem to be famously very boring with their track numbers, track corner numbers. I think Suzuka gets a bit jazzy every now and again and names a couple of them like spoons, and that's it. But as for that, most of them are either R130 for literally the degree and the way you turn on it. It's crazy.
Oh no. R130 is the radius, hence the R.
Oh, is it really? Oh,
it's 130 metre radius. There you go.
There we go. Sorry, I literally just saw that Brugibola nearly got accidental kiss on the inside there from Baclav as he's coming through, and obviously Baclav's getting a blue flag to let him through. As you were right in saying, getting darker, hard for them to see these guys coming up, or just be more aware of them as they're trying to fight back. And KK has now changed his gap between him and Baclav up to 2 seconds. I don't think we've seen it that big this whole race.
Just watching there, Brood looked like he went very deep on the brakes there. I don't know. Oh,
Baclav
went really deep on the brakes as well. And it's exactly what I was saying about, as you get into the dark, you can just sometimes miss those brake markers in the gloom. And Baclav done exactly that and went wide at turn 10.
Oh, blimey. That's gone.
Have we got time for my boring F1 story?
Yeah, we can do. Just to let everyone know that Flash has actually jumped into the pits for his second and last pit. So that's going to be him all done and dusted. I know. So he's on the 50-minute mark. He's got 50 minutes left on that track. I don't know where he's going to pop back out.
Well, it's interesting. He's only done 30 minutes on that middle set of tyres. Now, maybe has he got some kind of plan where he's got a different setup for when we get in the dark, because the track temperatures from daytime it was up in the 20s, we're now down to 17.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he's got a different setup for in the dark, and maybe that's going to see him come back in, because where's he going to drop out? You see, he's dropped out there, according to that, in 6th, and he's going to catch some of those cars I imagine in front, but the natural pit stop window wasn't for about another 10 minutes.
Well, this is it. So he may be here, and let's have a look at him. He has done. I'm sorry, I've just gone board with him now, and he's come out with a lovely bit of clean air in front of him. Flash has, so he can now sit down, get back into his groove, stop really sticking down some fast laps, and like you say, he's done that last pit now. He's not going to have to worry about back marker traffic before pitting or anything like that at all, which all these other guys have to. So he's played his hand early, but that might actually be to quite a benefit for him in this race.
And it'll be interesting to see whether Ben decides to counter that by stopping straight away, or if he's confident enough with the gap he had, which I think was up to about 7 or 8 seconds, that he can pit on his normal window with about 40 minutes to go and carry on in the lead. I can't imagine that Flash is going to catch that gap up unless he's got something really stunning in the sort of 10 minutes before the pit stop. Or maybe Ben's going late. Maybe he's got a plan where he's going to run late and maybe only do fuel, and then that means he can have a quick pit stop, not change tyres, which I'm not 100% sure within the regulation, but they said they had to pit twice, so as long as he pits, he's done the job, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, in theory he's done it. If he's
he'd have gone very...
Yeah.
I was going to say, he would have gone an extremely long time in those tyres, because he pitted at, let me have a look, 1 hour 16. So he was one of the later pitters from the first round of stops. So it'd be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Definitely will. As we stay on board with Flash for a second, so I'm just wondering who we need to go to next. I'm just trying to give everyone a nice bit of adequate airtime.
Baclav and KK are close again.
Are they really? Oh, they are. Look at that.
Baclav's wound his way back up on the back of KK.
Let's have a look here. He really has done. Let's get back on board with... Well, I'm going to get on board with KK here. See what we can do.
Looking back from KK in the back level, I would imagine will look fairly exciting. Can I have my story yet?
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's going to lose impact. The anticipation probably isn't worth the story. I'm worried now. I'm trying to build it up in my head as I'm thinking about it. And I'm worried, is that a good idea? Well, going back to the early 80s, and it was the Tolman team, which was where Ayrton Senna started his career.
Oh, yeah.
And this was in the day of turbo cars, and Derek Warwick was driving for them. And it was Brands Hatch, so it was their home race. They hadn't been particularly either reliable or competitive the whole season. So they hatched this plan, which was not quite as clumsy as Piquet smashing his car into the wall to let Alonso win the race, but it was fairly well up there that they actually only put half the fuel they needed in the car to win to finish the race. So the idea was it was running considerably less weight.
Yeah.
Just we watch Flash go around the outside of the back lab, which I don't think's lost him a lot of time. No. It was considerably lighter, so it got its way to the front of the field quite quick. It was running, I think, like second or third, and everyone's getting excited. Like, British driver, British car, they're going to win the race. It's incredible. Everyone with the team knew, well, you know, the mechanics were already probably packing their stuff up because they knew they were going to go home early. And halfway through the race, dutifully, the car cough spluttered, and then Derek Warwick, being instinctive, was swinging the car side by side to try and pick fuel up,
right,
which was a natural thing you would do. The problem was he'd been briefed to say it was a drive shaft failure, and it's like, why would you be swinging the thing side by side and your engine spluttering if you've got drive shaft failure?
Yeah.
So he wasn't quite fully on message, and it's just the desperate things people would do to just try and get a bit of airtime, and just think of all the daft things that have happened over the years. Now, I always think that's one of the craziest, because they never knew they were going to get anywhere, and the cover story they had was completely rubbish, but they did it anyway. And I do think, in review, that probably wasn't my most exciting F1 story, but when I thought of it, it did seem good. But I'll dig deeper and see what else I can remember.
Oh, okay. Okie dokies, right.
Go. Well, come up with something current and exciting.
At the moment, I am just sitting down and watching this ever-ongoing battle between Vaclav and KK. Vaclav getting a faster lap in there. He had a 56.8 compared to KK, who was in the 57. So the Audi is doing the faster lap times, as he was probably doing before. But again, that start straight is just giving that BMW all the space he needs. I say that now that R8 is right up his jacksie, want to take something from him. As they come round, as he's looking up the inside, he is looking up the inside, going down towards. Is it the Resolute? It's I can never pronounce that oil company's name correctly. Repsol, that's it. So
a Spanish fuel company.
Yeah, I know for oil. I know they do. They do oil and fuel, do they? Yeah, that's so
yeah. They. Yeah, my boring background is in that world, so yes. So they came over here in the 80s and thought they would take over the market like they have in Spain, and we sent them packing fairly well in the 90s. So that was the end of that as a grand idea of world domination.
Yeah, well.
So
places like Shell and BP will take that on.
Here we go. Back left, look on the inside to turn 10.
Heavy
He's
braking.
all the way across on the track though. He's got to make that really tight at the next corner. Is he going to get it done? Yeah, I think he has.
He may have done, but
back left, his track positioning.
Has he held it?
Oh no,
he has held it.
KK's coming back. He is.
Yeah, no, I think he has done it. As this switch back again, and it's now.
Oh no, he's going back the other way. Back left down the inside of 13 as they come up to the chicane. Oh, and then KK's on the correct side to brake. Oh, this is going to push Vaclav really wide. But I think KK is going to be right under the rear wing of that Audi as they come out of the last corner. We need to be a bit. Oh yeah, I think he's got a good run on it. He's going to have him into turn one.
Oh,
I'd put £1 of your money on this, Daxi.
oh,
What do you think?
thank you for spending my money. That's not a problem. I think you're probably spot on with that, actually, to be fair. Because like we said, that BMW, look at it. Look at the power it's got. It's just caught straight back up to it. And now he's just going to, I'm going to outbrake you. Thank you very much. All that effort. And I've just taken that spot back. It must be very frustrating for Vaclav. But these guys have got, watch out, as they've got the back marker of CV Dave, our guy who's known to be very cautious around these back markers, and he's actually come through quite well this time without any issues, and with Milton just behind him as well. So that was the two GT3s getting through, and also CV Dave getting out of the way of Milton there as well. It seems that it does seem. Oh no, it does seem has Milton actually gone in yet? No, he hasn't. So present has gone in. Myhol's gone in. Bujabala has gone in. I'm going to see who else has gone in quickly. I'm going to back out to the other menu here. We've had those four gone in so far. So Flash is now back up into third, which is good for him. And Present is also in fourth. 12 seconds between the two of them there. It's going to be interesting to see how when Milden jumps in and how long he lasts up there, and where everyone else has gone. Now, is it? Oh no, it is. I keep forgetting that Hubris is second and third, because we had Stomp accidentally DC, didn't he?
He did, yeah, and Hubris obviously hasn't done his second pit stop. Oh, Vaclav got all over the curbs there at turn 12 and made a little bit of a mess of it, and he's given KK a little bit of a chance of escape there as they're just coming through the final chicane, and they're just being caught. I couldn't quite see who that was in the background there. They will be catching them now, because obviously Ben Milden's got them. Oh, Mihail is coming up to lap them as well. So that's the one thing that's playing into the battle between these two guys, is how they let the lap cars by. And you can lose so much time sometimes, can't you? You ideally want to let them catch you on the straight, so they can, you know, whiz by down the straight side by side, lose no time. But the difference here with lap cars is that those GT3s are just so much faster than these GT4s, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
And look at this, how Mihail's just catching them hand over fist and just drives clean around the outside the back lap there.
Yeah, there's a lot more speed compared to these GT4s and the GT3s, and Mihail doing himself a bit of injustice there and getting onto the grass and dropping back behind Vaclav again. Oh no, he didn't. He's just got back in front of him, and hopefully no issues there as Mihail gets past. Yeah, he does get past KK without any issues. Brilliant stuff.
And Hubers has gone for the pit, so that's going to drop him back into his natural position, which I think is going to be about fifth. I think, either fifth or sixth. So it'll only be Ben of the top three that hasn't pitted then. So it'll be interesting to see how long he's decided to stay out and whether he's got a different strategy there. But it's interesting. Oh, Mados has pitted now, but majority of the GT4 runners haven't pitted yet, which I don't know if there's a reason they would do that. If you know Daxi on GT4s as against GT3s?
No, I don't know about any of it at all, I have to admit. I don't know if they're just sort of going, right, we'll wait for the last maybe 40 minutes. I don't know if there's I have to admit, I've not done enough GT4 driving to know if they've got a particular set of stuff which doesn't last as long. And Milden's actually jumped into the pits. So let's jump on board with Flash now and see where he is compared to...
And talking the pit, KK and Vaclav are in the pits together as well. They've gone in line astern.
All right, well, I don't know, unless Flash does some miracle here, or Milden takes quite a long time in these pits, I don't think there's a way that Milden's going to come out of here and go into second position. I say that as they come down the hill.
Buffer, unless he's got... See, interestingly, here's a concept for you. Did Ben have damage which he didn't bother to fix at the first pit stop to try and give himself track position, but now he's going to fix it at the second pit stop?
Possibly so, but some may say, why would he need to if he's done so well with the damage he's got already?
Good point. Good point. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Indeed. But it could be also a case of he's stuck a load of fuel into his car even, and doesn't need to do anything. Now, whereabouts is he? Is he come out of the pits? He has come out of the pits. I can see him leaving the exit there now, and it's only Flash is only just getting onto the start finish straight there, so still a good gap between the two of
KK
them.
and Vaclav are side by side, literally side by side, coming out the pit lane.
Oh, really? I need to get back on board with these two. Let's get back on board with these two.
Vaclav's just in front as they come down. There was literally nothing in it as they just exited the pit into turn one. Oh, and there's a car lapping them there as well, and one just behind them as well. Let's have a look. Oh, it's presets coming up to lap them. But yeah, they literally dropped off the jacks together, and it just so happened that Vaclav was just that bit further up the pit lane, which meant he got the run to the pit exit just that fraction quicker. But they literally sat side by side going down the pit lane. Tom 74's just ran wide there, the exit of turn 4. So they trundled down side by side, and I thought it was going to be one of those sort of knock a door mirror off as you try and exit the pit and get position. But Vaclav just got in front as they exited. So hopefully nobody's picked up a penalty from that by exceeding pit speed limits or anything like that. But KK's back looking at the back of that Audi R8 of Vaclav's like he has been pretty much all evening, hasn't he?
Yeah, it has. It's been those two just looking at each other's cars the whole time. Number 27 versus number 34, just fighting it over and over again. And it has seemed to be that BMW, if he gets close enough at the end of the beginning of that straight, he's definitely going to take him on the first corner. But then if that BMW doesn't keep up the speed through the consecutive corners of this track, that Audi will then catch up to him and be able to make a manoeuvre that way. So it's a risky business either way. And we were seeing Vaclav doing quite well, but I don't know if you've noticed, he has been doing he has been getting up onto those high sleeping policemen. And it's just unsettling that R8, Trev. It's just unsettling it, and just to an extent that he doesn't need to. Just literally half a foot in, he'd still get the same speed around the corner, but just not have that unsettled effect from those sleeping policemen.
And it's that problem, if your wheels are in the air, they're not driving the car forward, they're just spinning. So he's just giving away time by doing that. And I know it's easy for us to... Oh, what's happened to KK?
I think he tried to outbrake.
He was taking that wide line in there, so he was right out on the red and white curb, and he almost looked like he's going to go round the outside of Vaclav, but he just didn't seem to be able to stop it, and it just kept going. And whether he was unsighted and had caught Vaclav quicker than he expected to, and that was actually avoiding action, I'm not sure, but it's lost him probably 3 or 4 seconds running wide like that.
He's definitely saying that there's at least 2 seconds between the two of them now, so that I'm not surprised about at all. I'm going to go back and see who else we can watch. I'll go around. We've actually got our last GT3 guy into the pit, CV Dave. He's in there getting his pits done. That will be all of the GT3 guys' pits finished. And the gap at the top, it looks pretty certain at this point here. We've got Milden up front with 9-second gap between him and Flash in second, then Preset in third, 14 seconds back behind Milden. So, 14 seconds back behind Flash. So even a bigger gap there. So I'm not sure if we're going to see too much movement between the top three before the end of this race, Trevor.
I think you're right, because it's settled out. It's interesting that Ben certainly hasn't got the level of dominance that he had at the first round at Nürburgring, because he ended up 43 seconds up the road from Preset on that one. So he's definitely had the fight brought to him, and it'll be interesting to see what Stomp could have done. Unfortunately, he appears to have disconnected about half an hour in, and he was certainly quick in qualifying, so it'd been interesting to see what he could have done as the race had gone on. But certainly Ben so far who's got a very clean sheet for this championship with 2 wins, 1 pole. Maybe he didn't get the pole, but he's got the race pace, and you've got to be in it to win it, and his race pace does seem very good. But it's great to see that they're just that bit closer this week, that we are an hour and a half in, 90 minutes in, and there's just less than 10 seconds between the first 2 guys. Just shows how close it is up at the front there.
Oh, for sure. And they're doing really well with it. I look at Milden, he just seems to be absolutely, that Bentley is sticking so well round that track.
And the other guy that's having his little moment in the sun, I notice, is the Volks, your man in the Chevy.
Oh, really? Let's
He
get
hasn't
back on board
pitted
with
yet,
him.
so he's currently leading the GT4 class.
Is he really? Let's have a look and see how he's getting on. So he is leading the GT4 class. You're right. How much of a gap between him and the Clav they have? At the moment, I'm seeing it's 28 seconds. So I don't know if he's just trying to get some real solid lap times in, and seeing if he can just do a hop in, hop out, and possibly stick in first position. Or if not, he's definitely going to come out with a good stint of time between him, or a little gap of time between him and the guys on the top three, as Preset just gets by him now with a little flash from his lights to let him know I'm going past you.
It's interesting, the Folt pitted with 1 hour 17 to go, so he's been out there best part of 45 minutes so far on those tyres. So I wonder if he's going to try and stretch it. If he doesn't, see, maybe that's one thing we need to clarify, is whether they need to tyre change in both of them. Because if you just need to go in for fuel and don't tyre change, you can have a much shorter stop, but you still tick the pit stop requirement. So he may be trying that one, which could shake up GT4 class. And talking of shaking up GT4 class, it's only taken KK a couple of laps to wind himself back up onto the back wing of that R8 of back laps.
Yeah, he really has, doesn't he? That gap has shrunk down massively. As they, well, I suppose he's being held up. I can see he's being held up a little bit potentially by Myhale. Is Vaclav being held up by Myhale? I can see he's only maybe about 2 seconds in front of him. So I don't know if that is effective at all.
He's GT3, so he should be clearing off.
Oh, okay. I'm going to stick
so
on.
He's just lapting.
In that case, I'll
lapting?
Go lapting. We'll add that to the dictionary. Why not?
Okay.
Clav. Oh yeah. Look at that BMW. Wants to be all over the back of him.
It's interesting how the GT4 class does seem to produce, and we've had this with round one as well, quite close racing. I wonder if there's something with that slightly lower level of performance that keeps them closer together.
I've got a theory for that, and I think you're very. I think you're right, but also the difference between the GT4 cars and the GT3 cars is the amount of settings and setup for those cars. The GT3 cars, let's be honest, you can be a very good driver, but if you don't set those cars up on the track, you're going to lose to a worse driver, but who's got a better setup of the car. That's hands down. Oh, I say that. BMW trying down. He's doing it again down the outside. Is he going to try and outbrake him? He's looking. For now, he does seem to have held it. Just, oh, little kiss.
Oh.
And for now, KK has taken it back. He has taken it back. He's jumped back into first position.
For now, but they've both got that different line there around turn 3. That KK always seems to go really wide. In fact, Clav has made it work this time into turn 4. That he seems to be able to keep that R8 such a tighter line around that long turn 3, and that just sets him up nicely to get KK on the brakes into turn 4. I just can't believe that neither of these guys have made a significant mistake in over an hour and a half's racing.
And
they're absolutely incredible.
Driving really, really tight as well.
I think we need to turn the red lights off. I think that would, yeah, let's ban headlights, I reckon, because that will bring them all closer together. It might make things a bit more exciting when you turn up on another car as well, wouldn't it?
It definitely would. I'm going to quickly jump over to Brucibola and see how he gets on with Hubris, because I saw him starting to close him down as Hubris has actually got the back markers of KK and Vaclav to get through, and he has done there. And Brucibola want to get back, doesn't want to get caught up in between these guys for too long, which he is being done. Let's push Vaclav a bit wide there on the exit of that corner. Vaclav doing very well to watch that bending and not muck up his line as he comes under more pressure from KK. I just want to see if something can happen from Bougie Baller to catch back up with Hubris. It's our only sort of bit of GT3 action, but alas, there's now a 2-second gap between those two. And I feel the crowd beckoning for me to go back and carry on watching KK and McLaren for now, so that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, KK was doing the old flashy headlights routine down the main straight, trying to annoy Vaclav as much as possible, which is an old favourite of mine as well.
Yeah.
But, and the other thing I've been watching, and because they're different classes as well, when those GT3s are overlapping the GT4s, the one cheeky manoeuvre I always used to like to try and pull off is try and follow through the car that's lapping you to try and let them make the space and slip through. But with the speed differential, that can't really work with this, because obviously those GT3 guys can just drive around the outside if they really want to.
Oh yeah, they got a lot more speed and a lot more grip. I think the grip via downforce is so much more in the GT3 cars compared to the GT4, so they can afford to do stuff like, oh, we'll just go around you faster on the outside line and not even, just shrug it off like there's nothing going on. As we see, these guys head down. That Audi again has to take the defensive inside the line.
It's a long way around the outside of turn 10.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to nail that. He's driving that BMW really well, but I think he's going to have to. It's going to be a cold day in hell before you're able to get that car to go around the outside compared to the Audi R8. And it's those corners there where the R8 unsettles itself, just bouncing through that chicane. Don't know if you saw that there, Trevor.
I did, and that's okay, where KK's dropped a bit off there. He seemed to get more affected by those curves than Vaclav, but he just needs to be really if he's really tight through that chicane on the back of Vaclav, he generally can get him at the end of the straight, because that BMW just winds itself up and gets past, whereas Vaclav, if he can use the handling of that Audi to get through that chicane that bit better around that last corner.
Yeah,
he seems to be able to make fast escape.
He does. I definitely do think that Audi has definitely got the more nimble feel to it. It's just he's got a bit of a nasty habit of unsettling the car with the sleeping policeman on the edge of the corners there. So if you could just knock that on the head, you never know, you might see him actually start to make a bit of a permanent gap between him and KK behind. But at the moment, KK, look how close he is. 0.2 of a second, right up behind the guy there. Let's see if I can get on board and see what it's like as he's chasing him down. Oh no!
Oh,
Vaclav
made a mistake.
Was really far, and that's it. It's given the spot to KK. We're going to see what's happened in the rear view mirror there. So again,
I think it was on the brakes. It was on the brakes down in turn 7, and it just seemed to be that little bit sideways. And I thought he got it gathered up and was just going to run a little bit of the curve on the exit, but no, it just seemed to understeer straight away from him and across the gravel. And then KK said thank you very much and shot by.
Yeah.
He's in great company there, because that's roughly where Nigel Mansell's career in the McLaren ended. So, you know, he's not the first to do that. Which was where his relationship with Ron Dennis came to an end, when basically he parked up a car which was still running, had a wheel at each corner, but Mansell decided it was a bag of poo and didn't want to drive it anymore, and Ron Dennis was much displeased at this action. So a few days later, by mutual agreement, that was the end of their relationship.
Oh.
So yeah, Vaclav's in really good company in that particular gravel trap.
I heard that Mansell was an engineer's dream, because he would literally drag that car to the very edges and be able to tell them what was wrong, or be able to give them decent feedback. So the engineers loved him because he could actually fully test the cars to a fullest extent and be able to give them decent data.
Yeah, 100% right there. I'm glad you've been doing your homework that I've set you.
Thank you.
And the guy to listen to on that is I can't remember his name. I'm going to be hung. Is who was the other champion in Williams? Because obviously there was Frank Williams, Patrick Head. I got there in the end. I knew I wouldn't be far away. Listen to any interview with Patrick Head. You think I can rattle on for hours? Patrick Head, they just ask him one question and he just goes on. And he really admired Nigel for the same reason other drivers that era, like Alan Jones, they had massive upper body strength. And because the cars back then were so manual, there was no power steering or anything like that. And they needed that upper body strength just to heave the cars round. And that's what exactly they loved. That's why they had that great relationship between Williams and Nigel Mansell, that he could just drag the thing round. And he would just do what they considered incredible things with it, just by being able to hang on to the blooming thing as it tried to sort of throw himself into the barrier.
We've had some bad news. Unfortunately, Hubis has had a mischief and has had to retire into the pits. He was off on I believe I pronounce it Capas, the corner Capas. So you go up the hill and it's a 90-degree over the top of the hill. Campsa, back down. It seems that he came off there, or he had an issue there. And before I even managed to look at the guy, he's already jumped himself back into the pit. So unfortunately, it seems race is over for him with only just over 20 minutes left. What a shame! What a shame. Bad luck for that driver there. Hopefully the damage isn't too bad. Maybe he's going to try and come back out anyway and see how he gets on.
Well, at least he would bank some points. He'd be 7th in that class and 7th overall, because he wouldn't be caught by the GT4 guys. So he's still got a chance. Obviously, there's some repair time. I'm just sat on board watching him just to see whether he's going to come out or not. But just talking about pit stops, Thomas Menger is in the GT4 class in the BMW. He still hasn't taken, with 20 minutes to go, his second pit stop. Now, I'm not sure if I've got a note of when he pitted last time. No, I can't quite see. I've jotted that one down. I was interested to see, with only 20 minutes to go, he's obviously got a bit of a strategy idea going on there, and that could well just be a splash and dash to get himself to the finish. And maybe he's hoping that'll jump him up a spot or two, but looking at it, he's only 6 seconds in front of Tom 74 and 9 seconds in front of ERC Mados, so I don't quite see how that's going to work, but maybe he's got something up his sleeve that we haven't worked out. Any ideas, Daxi?
He could well do. I don't know what that's going to be, I'll be completely honest with you, and whatever it is, he's running out of time to do it, because at this point here, you're now going to start making it more of an issue, unless you've given yourself a big old hefty gap between you and the person that you want to make sure you can pit before. You know, it's not going to make too much of a difference at this point. You're just going to chew into any time that you can make to make up for your current racing. So I don't know. I think it's pretty much a cert that if he jumps back into the pit now, he's going to go back to 14th position and have a whole lot of work for him to do. So in my eyes, that's inevitable. Get in there as soon as possible, get back out, try and make those spaces back up.
I think the one who did win through the pit stops in the GT4 class is your underdog, the Volt, because he slipped up in front of Peter Possel, who, as you remember earlier on, when he was running in that battle with KK and Vaclav, the Volt is neatly slipped up there in 3rd in the Chevrolet. So I think, of what I know of that car, that's punching a little bit above its weight.
Trying to see what's going on here at the moment. Jump back on board with the Flash just to see how he's doing. Just gone through the back markers of KK and Vaclav, just to see what's going on there. Not much happening as they head down and up back the hill through the hairpin and through that little S section and towards, I think it's called, I believe it's called, is it the Euro car corner?
Europe car, yeah. They're a car rental company available in all major cities. Not that I'm taking back any.
Yeah, I know. None of us are getting any sponsor for that, but you know, we should be for what we're doing for them. But there we go. And oh, look at that Flash! Nearly pushing really wide there, nearly catching the gravel on the New Holland corner as he exits there. Lovely 147.6 for these guys. I want to see who has been doing the best times around this here. So I'm just going to jump onto the timetables here at the moment, see how they're getting on. So no, it doesn't actually give me fastest laps here, which is not helpful. Okay, that doesn't give me anything. That's not helpful at all. Okay, I'll leave that alone then.
I was starting to think that KK got this done, but Vaclav is starting to come back at him, I noticed.
Has he actually come back at him
So
again?
they got the game, the second, got the gap down back under a second. I thought we've got 17 minutes to go. Is it maybe a time to run through each driver from the front to the back, and maybe we'll just have a quick summary of their race and see how they got on, just so everybody gets a shout out?
Go for it. Let's start off from the back
Go
here.
on, well, you're in control, so
we're going to start with
I'm
the back.
in the
ERC.
I'm in the dark room.
Okay, I'm going to start with ERC Mados at the bottom of the pack there in 14th.
He was working up. He was a little bit further up than that from memory, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Now whether that because Thomas Benga hasn't pitted yet.
Yeah.
So I thought he was up more around about 12. So he is only 3 seconds behind the next guy, Tom.
Yeah.
74. And Tom seems to have hit problems with every time he's been lapped. I don't know. It just seemed to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I felt. I don't know what you thought.
Possibly so. Well, I'm not 100% sure at this point here, but I am seeing Mados close that gap down. It was 6 seconds. It's now only 4 seconds between the two. Well, 4.3 now at this exact moment in time. So maybe he can start closing that gap down between him and Tom. And if Mengal doesn't take that pit before the end of the race, it's simple. It's a DNF. So you know he'll lose that spot evenally if he doesn't do it now. I know. Did you see him push quite wide on the exit of that corner there, Mados?
Yeah. No, I think, and I might be wrong. I think you get a penalty rather than disqualification. I think you get something, but you get like a fairly heavy level of penalty, and it's like 60 seconds or something like that if you don't take the pit stop. It's more than what you would have lost if you had pitted.
Oh yeah.
And talking of losses, CV Dave has just got a drive through for track limits, so he's going to be heading back.
That's not going to be good for him. That actually.
So
if that'll put any of the actual. No, that's not going to let any of the GT4 guys leapfrog into that 6th position. They're now well and truly split into their 2 packs, but that's going to put him far behind Bucci Baller. He's not going to be able to get in there. Moving up the pack, should we go to 13? We're going to talk about Tom 7473.
Yeah, I'd say he's the guy that seems to have had sort of tripping over issues with being lapped a few times during the race. He's been sort of steadily going around there, but he just, whenever we've hopped on board with him, he just seems to be at the worst possible point to be lapped by a GT3 car, which is unfortunate for both of them. He's obviously trying to do the right thing and get out of the way, and then suddenly a GT3 car is bearing down on him a lot quicker, and he's ended up losing time. So he's only, if you want to move up next guy, 4 seconds behind Thomas Benga, but then that's a bit of a false one because Thomas hasn't pitted as yet.
Yeah.
But being, all those little problems can add up, can't they? And all of a sudden you've lost 2 seconds here, 3 seconds there, and then if you look at it, he's probably something around about, doing some rough calculations. I know it's a bit further than I thought. He was closer to Pete the Apostle than that. But could he have been further up if he hadn't had all those problems with being overtaken? But yeah, Thomas Benga, he's got a very. I can't get my head round. We've only got just under 14 minutes to go, and he still hasn't pitted yet. So A, he's not aware that he needs to pit, and he's carrying on anyway. Or he's got something strange going on. He's going to do a 1 lap, blast at the end. I don't see that's really going to work for him because the guys behind him are so close.
Yeah, I want to. I fear the worst, and I think he may have forgotten that it is a case of you need to go in twice, not just once. But then, saying that, all of them, like we can see, have all got the green marker now beside where it says the mandatory pit, and he's still got the number 1. So it's not like there's a little thing sort of blinking away in the corner saying you need to do this. So I'm going to hope that it's going to be a crazy manoeuvre, like he's just going to jump in the last lap, like you said, or just beforehand in the last 5 minutes. Reason for doing that? Not sure, really, because by the time you get back out and try and get back up to momentum, you've lost places, lost speed, and by the time you even start getting back into it, this is the end of race. But there we go.
And the other thing is, we're not going to get safety cars or anything like that, which can throw a curveball in so everybody then bunches up, and maybe you could pit under it and that kind of thing. So you haven't got that advantage to look at. So while that's covered, Thomas, do we want to hop onto the Volt?
I'm on the Volt as
the man in the Chevy.
Let's go for it. He's chasing down Peter Possum. He's actually getting some stuff going
and that was
on.
oh, he is, yeah. And now interesting that was an interesting pit strategy, that he did his first one fairly much on cue, but his second one, an hour and 17, but he did leave that second one quite late. So quite how that worked for him, I don't know, but it does mean obviously now he's on fresher tyres than what Peter Postel is, and maybe he's going to go for second in this, in the what I feel is an unfancy car in the Chevy, because it just doesn't fall in the light of that kind of European sports car field, does it? When you compare it to the Ferraris and the Mercedes and BMWs that are out there, you wouldn't necessarily think of the Chevrolet as being a car that would be out there and being that competitive. But coming out of New Holland corner, he's right up behind Peter Postel, and maybe he's going to do something here.
Yeah, this is the thing. You're spot on. Not normally a car you think, oh, wow, Chevrolet is known for the speed and exotic performance, but you know what? It is holding its own and is actually really catching back up to that. Oh, I thought he nearly over pushed in that corner there, but definitely catching up to that Mercedes.
I did it as well.
Yeah,
but it's like it's going back to family fortunes, isn't it? We asked 100 people to name a top sports car brand. Chevrolet just wouldn't be in there, would it?
No.
That would be a
It doesn't roll off the tongue. But we say that. Look at him at the moment.
No, it doesn't.
He's currently 500th of a second into his fastest lap of this track. And 10 minutes left, so he's got his groove on. He's got the track down to a T. I'm quietly confident he can make a manoeuvre here on Peter Postel, but as the great Murray Walker said, it's always easy to chase him down. Getting past him is the hard part.
Exactly. And talking to Peter, he had a terrible start to his championship at Nürburgring when we couldn't say exactly what happened, but first thing we saw was that he was heading sideways into the wall down the straight to the first corner, and his race never really recovered from there. He did stay into the end of the race, which is very commendable, but he ended up 7th in that race, and he qualified 7th, so he really didn't have a good night then. But this week, completely different. He was up there in qualifying, and he's still there in 3rd at the moment, looking at a podium, but obviously the Volt, as we've already mentioned, is all over him at the moment, and it may just be those fresher tyres. He pitted that much later, and he's just got that bigger level of grip.
He does seem to have it, and I'm on board with him now. To go for a dash cam as he chases that Mercedes down the straight. Now the Mercedes does seem to have a bit more of a run there. It does seem to be pulling away from him down the straight. I'm very surprised about. Heavy braking
just
here.
One little mistake from Peter Postel, and the Volt will be through. So
definitely so. I'm going to now jump onto Peter Postel as we've been talking about Peter from the Volt for a while, or should we move up onto KK at the same time?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll say that. It's such a close little battle. I don't know if I should step away from him for a second. I'm going to stick on Peter just to see if the manoeuvre's not made.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the other. Well, Vaclav and KK, we've spent a lot of camera time on and spoken to them quite a bit. So I think we can skip over them. Hubis unfortunately hasn't rejoined us. I think he was up there about 4th, wasn't he, until he made that mistake at Kamsa, which basically ended his race, and he teleported effectively back to the pit. So unfortunately he's hanging in there, which I imagine gives him a technical finish, but unfortunately as competitive laps, that's his race over. So that puts CV Dave up into 6th. He had a solid first round. he was there. I think he qualified 8th, but by the time he's finished, he was up to 7th, I believe, in the first round. Just seems a little bit off the pace there, CV Dave, but not. It just shows how tight it all is with this. I think he's only probably about half to 1 second a lap off, but over these 2-hour races, that just makes so much difference, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, that gap definitely increases as we now see CV Dave coming behind. The guys, is that what I'm thinking? Yeah, no, that is Peter Possel, and it is CV Dave who's now about to come up past them on the start-finish straight.
That's the best place you can pass if you can get away with it.
And I'll tell you, it seems to be that Mercedes does have, again, the more top-line speed, but potentially the Camaro, the actual Chevrolet, the Camaro, is that possibly a bit more tighter in the corners compared to the Mercedes. Go figure that, eh?
Well, you know, an American car that can go round corners.
I know.
It's just outrageous, isn't it? So,
can you really call it American?
well, just moving up, we've got 6.5 minutes to go. Bruja Ballard, which you seem to be able to say a lot better than me. He's there in 5th. He's had a fairly quiet night, really, hasn't he? Where is he? 2 seconds behind Mihal, and just coming up on the Vaclav KK battle. He's had a fairly quiet night there.
Yeah.
I think he qualified around about 5th or 6th, and he wasn't that far off pole. It was about 1.2 seconds, I think. And this is a guy I've raced, and he's a really good racer, really clean. And yeah, but he seems to have had a really quiet night. He's you know, been there around about 5th or 6th, and not really had to have really any battles, but just needed to keep it consistent and keep it on the track.
Yeah, for now it just seems to be the way from it. Like you say, the top 3 sort of raced off, and he got lost from that pack, and then he's just been caught really sort of keeping up his own speed and getting cut through the back markers and going that way. There was a little look between him and I think it was our guy who has now retired to the pits. There was nearly something which happened between those two, i.e. a bit of racing and fun stuff. But unfortunately, why is the name of that driver eluded me all of a sudden?
What, Stomp or Ubis?
Ubis, that's it. Ubis, unfortunately, has then had to retire and went to the pits. I think, has he actually left now, or is he just off the menu that I can see?
No, he's still sat in the pits.
Okay.
He's still sat in the pits, so I think you've done that, so he technically gets a bit. Or he might just come out at the end and do 1 lap, and then that puts him as an active finisher.
Yeah.
And going on to another driver with a quiet night, I think Mihal's not been overly busy in exchanging positions with people, is he? I think he's benefited from obviously the loss of Stomp, but he's been there in sort of 4th or 5th most of the evening and had a fairly quiet night of it again, really, isn't he?
Yeah, for the time being, these guys have just carried on going around. Oh, and you're right with that, the BMW.
God, I'm good.
The BMW has just dipped back out for like the last 5 minutes, just like you say, to get his actual finish in and the potential of some points. I don't know where that leaves him on the actual race. Where his standings are. I don't know if the GT4 is going to be ahead of him. No, yes.
Well, I think in the finish of the race, they will be ahead of him. But I think as the classes are separate, he will come out. Oh,
not again, CV Dave. Is that 2 now?
Dave, you got to keep it between the lines. I'd say there's a fair chance. So that's probably coming down here into turns 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Because what the temptation, it just washes out with understeer, and then across that curve, obviously depends who you're on board with. You wash out across that curve, and you just go slightly too far, and you know it'll give you put an X by your name, and you get 3 X's, and then you get a drive through.
Yeah. You can't let it happen. It's the problem. You go over that white line, it will punish you. As Volt is keeping up that half second, that's 0.6, 0.5 gap to Peter there. He's keeping the pressure on, but not being able to actually get any further from that. I can't see him completely closing that gap down. There's only less than 3 minutes left of this 2-hour race. Can you believe it? 3 minutes.
It's gone so quick. It's
It
gone
really has
so
gone
quick.
super quick.
So we better talk about our top 3 guys, because
Go for it.
we've got Preset in third and Flash in second. Now these guys were up 1 and 2 after Milden and Stomp had that coming together, didn't they? And Milden pulled over, let Stomp by.
Yeah.
But while they were all slow doing that, as they tripped over some back markers, Flash and Preset were through and gone, weren't they?
Yes.
And then Ben Milden, in the pit stop strategy, left it a little bit later than the other guys and jumped. I think he got back up to second by then, but then in the pit stop, jumped Flash at the first round of pit stops, came out just in front, and then has just relentlessly increased that lead. And my timing chart's not showing it to me right now, but I think it's around about 15 seconds. So 15 seconds in relation to a 2-hour race is just nominal, isn't it?
That is really good.
And CV Day's doing his drive through with just 1:42 to go, but Thomas Menga in the BMW is still out there and still refusing to pit.
Indeed he is. I think it's a case of he just doesn't realise it's a 2-pit strategy, and he's going to maybe feel a bit of a silly billy afterwards. Otherwise, why would he not take it? But here we go. We are now watching. I'm on board with Ben at the moment as he comes round. He's going to be just completing this last part of his penultimate lap. There's only 1 lap left in it, really. So I'm going to just stick on board. But we'll carry on what we're talking about. So your driver of the night for the GT3s, Trev, who are you saying?
I think it's got to be Ben Milden, isn't it?
I think I'm going to be.
He was qualified in third. He got a little bit bullied out of that first corner, didn't he? It was all a bit tight, and he was quite careful. Lost, I think he dropped back to 4, and then he worked his way back up. Then had that coming together with the back marker, and had to let Stomp by, and then they carried on. But just it was just careful and banked the laps, got through, got to the pit stops, hung on a little bit later, pitted, and came out in front of Flash at the end of the pit lane, and then really that was the last of the guys saw him. So
yeah.
Battle of the race clearly is KK and Vaclav. Those guys have been fantastic value for us for I think about an hour and a half roughly, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the time 3, 2, 1, and we're out of time.
There we go. So last lap it is as we are on board here. GT4s, who are you going to say was your favourite GT4 driver for tonight then?
It's got to be shared, isn't it? KK and Vaclav.
Yeah, I think I'm also. I don't mean to sound like we're just agreeing on anything, but it is. You're absolutely spot on. It's been a brilliant battle between those two the whole way round, duking it back and forth. One's got the faster top end, one's got the faster corner speed, and they've just been to and fro the whole race. I'm not even going to see who's in which position before the finish line because I want it to be a surprise. But here we go.
And just while we're doing that, I hopped on with Thomas Menga just to see whether or not he pitted.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
No,
so I was interested. Ben Milden's let Bruhalla by. I think that's possibly to allow him to unlap himself. I don't know
possibly
why he would do that.
I don't know. He seems to have slowed down a lot of it for this here. I think he's going to go up the inside and start flashing as he does, going towards the checkered flag there. So congratulations, first place goes to Ben Milden, SOP Milden, in this 2-hour multi-class challenge. Second place coming up.
Oh, hop on with Flash. Hop on with Flash. Preset's caught him. Flash has got a problem. They're coming around turn 12. They're coming up to that tight right before the chicane. I don't know why, but Flash has lost an awful lot of time to Preset, and Preset can sniff a second place here. I think he's very
definitely something wrong with that. Definitely something wrong with that RA. Definitely.
But I
Is
think
it
he's
enough?
managed to hang on to it. I don't know if he made a mistake or what happened there, but
No, I don't know what it was as well, but you're right. There was definitely a slow speed there from the R8, but congratulations, Flash and Preset. So that is our first, second, and third podiums for the GT3s. And I believe if we go back to the garage and look at that view there, we are confirming, yes, it is confirmed. KK came first for the GT4s, second was for Clav, and then Peter Postel in third place, not gone over the line as of yet for the third place in the GT4. So congratulations to those 6 drivers for their podium positions in each of the classes there. Thomas Mengar, like I said, look, he's got a 130-second penalty there for not getting that, not doing that pit stop before the end of the race. So guys, what a brilliant race there. I'm going to quickly just swing it back over to the other.
Hubers across the line, which he has done now. So,
righty ho.
We lost one driver at the start, Michael Stefanik, to qualify, but didn't actually enter the race. I hadn't spotted that one. So I'll let you do the wrap up.
Well, what a stunning 2-hour race it's been. It's you know what? I'm actually quite surprised at how eventful it's kept around Catalonia tonight. It's been really, really well done. It's just, I was guessing, just due to the amount of turns and how tight this track is, it's always been a constant fight and constant battle, which we've really very much enjoyed. I don't know what's going on for this second race. I don't know if this is just a cool down just afterwards, so ignore that for the time being. But I'd like to say thank you very much to my co-commentator Trevor, who I know needs to shoot off as soon as possible.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Daxi, and yeah, we'll just. When is the next race? It's 2 weeks.
The next race is in 2 weeks' time, and it will be. Let me find out for you. Drum roll, please, Mr. Shojai. It is going to be. Why is it not showing me this image? Come on. Oh, God, blimey, why not? It is Brands Hatch. There we go. Back to Blighty.
Like Brands Hatch.
I do love Brands Hatch as well.
I've got lots of. Yeah. Would you believe I've got lots of Brands Hatch stories?
No, I can't believe that you've got lots of stories about Brands Hatch. Of course, I believe you've got lots of stories about Brands Hatch. So, no, that's brilliant stuff. Guys, thank you so much. Again, thanks to everyone who's watching and been in the chat. So, we've not said hello to many of you tonight. You've been a really good sport for some really funny things. I've been chuckling away to them in the background. Again, massive thanks to our guys, E-Racing, for letting us host this for them. And thank you to everyone out there watching. If you do like this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that alarm bell so you get to hear more of us. We'll be bringing you more of the multi-class challenges every bi-weekly on the Sunday, and we'll also be stepping up with 1 or 2 other races from esports as e-racing as well. Look to hear for more information about that. Everyone, thank you very much for tuning in, and congratulations to the winners of tonight. It has been a pleasure, and this is us signing off. Night night. Trevor?
And good night. It's good night for me, and it's good night from him.
Indeed it is. All the best, everyone. Have a lovely evening. Thanks, Ed. Bye.
Okay. Bye, everyone.